All right. So when you open up Blender, there'll be a little button here that says left click to select. I usually use left click to select. So the default, I just hit that, and then you'll be at this screen. Everyone let me know when you're at the splash screen. What we're going to be doing is we're going to start off tonight with general under new file. So you just click that, and that's your basic 3D. So I'm teaching Blender as going from After Effects to Blender. That's my whole methodology of this. So over here on the left is your toolbar. Can everybody see that? If you grab the right edge and drag, now you can see the names of the tools. So that's just a faster, easier than hovering over. Everyone good so far? All right, this giant screen right here, that's what in After Effects, that's the composition window. In Blender, that's called the 3D viewport. Okay, so this is your 3D viewport. Over here, this is called the outliner. This is the same as the project panel. Okay, this is where you can select items, put them in collections, things like that. Collections are basically folders you can store your stuff in. So if you're making a field, you could have a folder for your rocks, a folder for your trees, and those would be called collections. Below is the properties panel. All right. And that's going to change based upon what you've got selected. So if I click on my camera over here, I've got camera properties. I click on the cube, I've got cube properties. And by the way, I'm left clicking on these elements in the scene. Okay. You can also left click on them in the outliner. All right. When your scene gets dense, sometimes it's easier to click on the item in the outliner. All right. And then running down along here next to your properties, these are all the icons for different settings in properties, like getting to your particle systems, modifiers, object data. You're going to be using the vertex group one a lot, materials. This one right here is for rendering. When you are starting off, it's usually better. So it looks like the back of a camera. It's usually better to start in cycles, but for tonight, let's just put in cycles. Why not? When you're in cycles, like right here, max samples, I'm going to drop that down to 100. And then max samples here, I'm going to drop that down to 100. Just because if we render anything tonight, just to take a look at it, I'm also going to click on denoise right here. That way it'll render faster. The more samples you have, the longer your render will take. I found it under the stairs. No, King. So see the little back of the camera? So you click on that, and under render engine, you'll change that to cycles. And for max samples, change the first one to 100. Click on the denoise, and then max samples down here. Make that one be 100 as well. So this is where you can choose your render engine. Cycles has the most realistic lighting, and it's the easiest one to start off in because you have to know Blender deeper to be using EV right here, EEVEE. EV is like the real-time game engine one. So if you want to be doing game design, or you just don't want to do long renders and it's just, more simple animation, EV is the way to go. It's faster. But lighting and shading is trickier. Everyone got that? Lighting and shading renders faster, and all your stuff renders faster in EV, but it's harder to make it look good and be convincing. Cycles, it's just easier to learn in. Below that, there's a printer icon. This is where you can change your resolution. It's already defaulted to 2K, which is what we work in. Already at 24p, fine by me. Now, let's pretend this is your duration right here, frame rate range. So if we're 24p and it's 250 frames, how long is this animation going to be? Yeah, go on. And you just made me lose faith in humanity. All right, everyone, class is over. Have a great night. Okay, so it's 24 frames per second. The fast shortcut, when you're doing something times 10, you just put a 0 at the end. So 10 seconds at 24p would be 240. This is set to 250, so that would be 10 seconds and how many frames? 10, yes. So let's say we want this to be 5 seconds. 5 times 24 would be 120. Now let's try some math. Let's see if this works. If I go 5 asterisk 24 and then hit the enter, let's see if that works. It did. All right, so that works just like in After Effects. Hooray. All right, class dismissed. Another thing you could do down here is change your output. When I'm working, I choose PNG, okay? And I choose 16-bit, and I basically don't compress it too much. 16-bit, as we learned in After Effects, gives you more color detail, more dynamic range, okay? So that's why I go that route. Now, if you're doing alpha, that's what RGBA is for. So if there's no background or anything like that, it'll be transparent. All right. So let me click back up here on the back of the camera. And right here under film. So we're back of the camera, the render settings. Under the film twirl down, you can click on transparent, and then your background will render transparently. All right. Any questions on that? No? Okay. Lastly, still in the back of the camera, you want to twirl down color management at the bottom. There's Filmic, Filmic Log, and Raw. Okay. Filmic can get you by. You'll have less contrast. So it'll be more, realistic. You don't want that overly contrasty, punchy 1980s bad looking 3D. You know what I mean? So that's usually around here. Filmic Log, Raw, those three will basically, they're fine for rendering. Down here, the default is the timeline. So just like in After Effects, it's where you would move your playhead and keyframe. This is what makes Blender different from After Effects. If you go to the top left of any of your panels, any of them, you can click on the little arrow and change it. So while I'm here at my timeline, I'm going to change that to shader editor. And now I've got my shader editor down at the bottom. You can make any one of these windows anything you want. Do you understand that? You can hop back and forth. If I want to go back to my timeline, I just click on that same little triangle, choose my timeline. The timeline is for moving your playhead. The difference is right here, dope sheet. The dope sheet is where your keyframes are going to be. If I hover, does everyone see this little line here at the bottom? How you get like a grab icon? If you right click there, you can choose a split. If I choose horizontal split and then drag up, what I can now do is I can have my dope sheet here and then set my timeline here. So I can move around here and then fiddle with my keyframes there. Yes. Yeah. So what I did was I hovered right here. So I got that grab. I right clicked and I chose horizontal split. And then I dragged up. And then by this little clock, the drop down arrow, I changed it to what I wanted to be. If you need to, you're going to be splitting windows a lot. Let's see how to undo a split. So I right clicked where that join was, and I'm going to choose join areas. And I down arrowed. So once more, I'm going to right click here at the top, down arrow. Join areas, down arrow. Because with my dope sheet, I can still access my timeline. See the difference? So, just showing you that. Up here at the top, these are your workspaces. Layout is what we're in, okay? Modeling is if you're going to be sculpting something. Well, actually, modeling, it's for 3D modeling. Sculpting, I'm sorry. Sculpting is where you sculpt. UV editing is where you would unwrap things. So say you made a Star Wars at, and you want to put like rust and scratches on it. That's where you would do this, saying this texture goes on this part of the model. Got it? Shading, all these different things. So basically, that's where you get to your different workspaces, and each one has different tools for what you're doing in it. All right. Make sense so far? Now, here is the big thing right here at the top. It says object mode. You got your different modes. Object mode is like what you're putting in the scene. I want to put this tree over there. I want to put this oval over here. You're just moving stuff around and laying it out. Edit mode is when you're changing the geometry mesh of an object. The other ones we'll be addressing later on, but the two main ones are object mode and edit mode. So I'm in object mode. Here's what we're going to do. Select your cube. In After Effects, your main shortcuts were P, S, R, T. Position, scale, rotation, transparency. Throw transparency out the window. All right. Position, scale, rotation are your go-tos here. Got it? Now, in Blender, position is the shortcut G for grab. All right. So if you hit G on your keyboard with the cube selected, you can move it about. All right. So give that a go. And when you want to place it somewhere, left click. To undo, you would hit your right click or hit Command Z. G was obviously grab. If I hit R, I can rotate the cube. Or if I hit S, I can scale inward or outward. Everyone give that a whirl and let me know if you have any questions. This is why I love Blender, and Blender is so much more powerful than After Effects. And just a reminder, I'm recording this and you're all going to have it when I'm good and ready to give it to you. Watch this. If I go, okay, you know what? Here's how we're going to do it. See up here, your gizmo in After Effects, when we hit 3D enable, that's your gizmo. Take a look at these settings. X is closer or further from the camera. Okay. So in Premiere, X takes you your depth in space. Okay. Y is your side to side and Z is up and down. Can everybody see that on the gizmo here? Okay. So if I go and want to move this straight up off the ground, that would be Z. So I can go G, Z, and then grab, and it'll move only on the Z axis. But undo that. Works for any of them. G, Y. Now it's snapping there. All right. Now get ready for this. It's going to blow your socks off. R, rotate. So I'm looking at my cube. Let's say I want to rotate on X. I can go RX and then any number of degrees. So I can go RX 90. It's a cube. Ha ha ha. RX 45. Now you see it. And I'm going to hit undo. Did you use your do you have an extended keyboard off to the side? I'll show you. 1 sec. Extended keyboards like these are crucial for Blender, or like if you're doing color grading in DaVinci Resolve, you need an extended keyboard to access the page up and page down buttons and stuff like that. So now, did it work? Yeah. Okay. So let's do scale. I'm going to go SY5, and it went 5 times the width on the Y. Okay. I'm going to hit undo. Now let me try something out. So 5 was 5 times the width. Everyone got that? I'm going to go SY minus 0.5, and that went inwards. So if you want to go less than 1, like half, that's what I did. I did SY minus 0.5. That shrunk it half its normal size there. Got it? Okay, so you can do fractions in here, or decimals, I should say. All right, so let's shrink it by half, and we'll go, let's say Z. RZ, let's do 75, and hit enter. All right? Everyone good? Now, I want to show you something. Press the N key on your keyboard, like now. Did everybody get this? If you take a look, my rotation, X, Y, and Z, Y is zeroed out, but my X and my Z are not zeroed out. And then if you look at my scale is not zeroed out, or my dimensions, okay? When you make changes to the transform property, so transform is position, scale, rotation. When you do that in object mode, if you don't apply them, it's going to mess stuff up down the road, okay? So the fast, easy fix for that, now on the PC, it's Control A. So I'm going to try Command A on a Mac. Yeah, Command A, that's apply all transforms, okay? Now watch your numbers on that little side panel when I do that. They zeroed out again, okay? Now it's saying, here's your shape, everything's zeroed out, we're cool, all right? So when you're doing position, scale, rotation, and you're done doing it, Command A or Control A, that takes you to the apply, and then just do all your transforms or what you need to from there. Everyone good? The N button pulls up the sidebar menu in your 3D viewport. Okay, this is where you can get to things like the view. All right. So does everyone have their view clicked on? Okay. So we learned how to grab objects, move them about in the scene, and use the shortcuts G, S, R, as well as applying to a specific axis like X, and then entering a number. Everyone's good with that, right? In here, in the view, is this little button that says camera to view. Okay. So I'm going to click that on. I'm going to hit N again to close that window, the sidebar. And we're going to add a couple of things called add-ons. So at the top, we're going to go to our edit menu and then preferences. And then we're going to click on the add-ons button. Does everyone have 3D view, 3D navigation at the top? Yep. Edit preferences, then click the add-ons. Yeah. So you have to check it off like I did right here. Okay. Once you check it off, click the save and load button down here. Okay. Then we're going to go to add-ons again. And in the search bar here, I'm going to type BOO, like boo. And you're going to see Bool Tool. Click to add that with the check mark. Hit save and load. We'll go to add-ons one more time. And I'm going to type in node, N-O-D-E. And I'm going to want Node Wrangler. So I'm going to click on that and then save and load. Wait, there's one more. I think it is. So I'm just going to click on Mesh Loop Tools. Okay. And then I'm going to hit save and load and then close out my preferences. If you do not have a 3-button cursor, you can rotate around your scene with your gizmo. Okay. Or you could scrub side to side on any of the icons here to make those work. But we've got 3-button mice. So here's what we're going to be doing. The tilde key on your keyboard, right below the escape key at the top left, that's what the 3D nav did, turning that on. So this is a pie menu. And you can see as you hover over each one, it lights up. I want you to go to view camera and release. I'm going to hit the N key on my keyboard again. And right here, camera to view. What that means is now we can use our mouse to move the camera. Okay. The middle mouse wheel scrolling up or down will zoom you in and out. Okay. If you hold down the middle mouse button, if you press it down and you hold it pressed down, that will rotate you around your object. And then you can release. If you hold down the shift key on your keyboard and press down on the middle mouse button, that'll be your pan side to side or your tilt up and down. So you can zoom in and out, orbit, and pan using that. Okay. Now you see why I brought in the 3-button mice for everybody. Because this program, you're going to be right-clicking a billion times to access all the sub-menus. You can't do 3D without a 3-button mouse, you know, and these are dirt cheap. They're so easy to get. I took them from work. They let me borrow them. We do medium entering. So we've got like a box full of mice. I'm like, can I borrow 4? They're like, sure. And I said, can I have $20? They said, get out of here. All right. Now we've got our camera basically where we want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to click off camera to view. Okay. Now watch this. When I zoom up and down with my mouse wheel, this gray box, can everybody see the light gray box on the dark gray background? This is your render area. That's what the viewer is going to see. Okay. So just this part. But look at all this dead space. It's annoying. So if you click off of here and you mouse wheel up or down, now you can zoom in and out and see your scene better. Okay. And then if you need to move your camera again, just click back on here and you can set up your scene however you want. So clicking off of here allows you to zoom in and out of your render area. And then click back on to move your camera around. Everybody got that? We're going to hit the N key. That's your basic object layout. Okay. You work in here, you move some stuff around, and you're good. Is everyone ready to see the edit workflow? All right. So I've got my cube selected. I'm going to hit the X key on my keyboard and choose delete. Cube's gone. Now, does everybody see a little ring that looks like a life preserver? This is called the 3D cursor. 3D cursor. Wherever that 3D cursor is where your objects will be added when you add them. No, it's different. That's why that's a great question. We're going to get into that when I'm emotionally ready. Normally, when you're laying out a scene, most people just keep the 3D cursor. This is called the world origin, dead center, 0, 0. It's like the crossroads. All your objects, you can start them there and then move them where you want them to. Okay. It's just fast and easy to snap to. So it's like if I move it, one of the downfalls of 3D is you're not just side to side, up and down. You've got depth. So this thing could be like 5 feet off the ground and hovering over nothing. And then you place a tree and your tree's floating in midair. Do you understand? That's why most people just leave it there when they're adding stuff. To add, all you do, you hold down Shift, hit the A key. Is where you can get everything. So Shift A. We're going to do, what did I say? We're editing. I'm going to choose cylinder. Okay. We're in object mode. That means you can add objects, move them around, scale them, rotate them. Do your scaling and rotating in object mode whenever possible. Then, accept your transforms, like apply them, and then we can start editing. So we're going to edit this. To get between object mode and edit mode, hit the Tab key on your keyboard. And you see object mode became edit mode, and we've got everything selected here. And I want you to look right here. This first button is vertex selection. That's for selecting a vertex, a single point. The second button is edge selection. An edge is 2 vertices connected. So it's like 2 points on a path in Illustrator or After Effects. Everybody see that? The edge, 2 points, and vertex is just 1 point. Okay. Lastly, right here is face select. Face is any 3 or more edges that are closed together, like a shape in Illustrator or After Effects. See how it's just like up here at the top? That's a face. Everyone got it? Okay. You can get between these selection modes by pressing 1, 2, or 3 on your keyboard. Not the number pad, but right above your letters, that top row, you can use that. So if I want to get this edge right here, I'll press 2 to select that edge. Everyone understand? All right. I'm going to zoom out a little bit with my wheel here. Your main editing workflow is going to be these shortcut keys. E for extrude, I to inset. I'm going to show you what that means. Everybody ready? Face select. The number 3 on my keyboard. I'm just going to pick a face off to the side. All right. If I hit E and then start dragging, it's pulling that face straight out. I press left click to accept that transform I just did. Now, the top face, the really round one, I want you to use face select on that. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit the I key on the keyboard and see it shrink inwards. So extruding is grabbing something and pulling it out. Inset is scaling it inwards. All right. Inset is great for making window frames. You see how you just get a cube, scale inwards for your inset. All right, everyone ready for the next part that's going to blow your mind? I did an inset on the top and an extrude on the side. This top is still selected. Does everyone still have that top face, the inset selected? We're going to hit E and push it down into the cylinder like that, and then left click to accept it. So you can inset something and extrude it inwards. I'm going to use my mouse, my middle thing. And you can see now it's almost like a coffee cup. Okay. Everyone good? Most things in life can be 3D modeled off of 2 simple shapes. Okay. I'm going to hit tab to go back to object mode. And I'm back in object mode. All right. I'm going to hit Shift A and go to my mesh. Plane. Planes are flat surfaces. You could use a plane to make like walls, floors, fields, whatever you want. You could also use them for basic modeling, and I'll show you that in a sec. Cube, we've already seen. Circle is, well, I'll show you. I'll add a circle right here. And I'm going to hit G, move it over here. And I'm going to hit X to delete that. I'm going to click on my circle in the outliner, okay? I mean, my cylinder. I'm going to click the eyeball to hide it. The eyeball icon will show or hide something in your scene. The camera next to it will hide it from being rendered. So you might see something in your scene that will not render if that camera is turned off. Does everybody got that? Yes. That's awesome. Now moving forward, no, I'm just kidding. So we know if we hit the N key, that'll pull out our side menu. Okay. Everyone good with that? T will hide your tools. T hides tools and shows them. And we know that if you drag out this edge, you'll see the name of the tools. Everyone good there? Now I'm going to show you one more menu. I'm going to hit Shift A. I hid my cylinder. So Shift A, circle. And I'm not going to click anything. I just left click once to place it, and that's it. Down here, there's a little twirl down arrow. This is called the review panel. All right. Vertices, 32. I'm going to change that to 5 and hit tab. Look what I got. I've got a geometric shape I don't know the name of, but it's got 5 points. I think it's called an oval. I'm joking about that. So you can change properties of something you place with your review panel, but you can only do it immediately after you put in the scene. Got it? That's why I hid the mug and then deleted the circle and started again. So you could make a pentagon off of a circle by reducing the number of vertices. Okay. Radius, you could set the size of. All right. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm going to click off of it. When you've got flat things like circles or planes, you can add depth to them. So the fast way of getting a 3-dimensional pentagon, I select it by clicking on it or clicking on it here. I'm going to hit tab to go back to my edit mode. I'm in edit mode. And I'm going to edge select this. Now, everyone click on one edge and you'll see it highlight because it's selected. Is everyone able to do that? Here's a little trick, and this is very important. What I want everyone to do is pick a non-selected edge, hold down the Option key on your keyboard, and then click on it. On a PC, you'll hold down the Alt key. Did you see how all the edges were selected? This is edge flow. This is a clean geometric shape, so we're able to select all the edges that way. If your edge flow is off, you won't select all of your edges. I'm going to show you what that means later. Okay. So we're going to be doing, a little bit of the basics in the intro, but I'm also going to be giving you a foundation on 3D modeling and topology, which a lot of people leave out. They're like, hey, check out my YouTube channel. We're going to make a chair. And they don't talk to you about the basics of edge flow, topology, and what makes things work properly. So we've got all of our edges selected. I'm going to hit E to extrude and extrude upward. And look at that. Now we've got like walls if we're building a house. So I just E, extruded and dragged up. My top edges are still selected and only my top edges. If I want to fill this with the face, I can hit the F key on my keyboard and it's filled with a face. This shape's too funky. I'll just hit F for fill. All right. So that's a basic extruding out. All right. I'm going to hit A to delete it, A to select all. I'll go back to my object mode. All right. I got it. X, delete. And I'm going to Shift A and add a cylinder. What Chris was doing up here at the top, This is your wireframe mode. Okay. It'll help you line up things when you're modeling. This is just a quick shaded mode. This one's going to show you a little bit of viewport shading with lights. And the last one is your render. So if you got like materials on it or like HDRIs in your scene, you want to see what the reflections look like, that's the last one. That's going to show what the render is going to look like. So normally I'm working in either the viewport shading, render, or wireframe. I really don't use viewport shading, this one, very often. All right. So I'm going to plain shade this. I'm going to hit tab to go. We'll select it, hit tab. Edge flow we were talking about. All of these are the same length and they're going around in an even rotation. It's making a clean shape. I'm going to hit tab to go out of it to show the shading again. Everyone good? I'm going to tab back into it. Watch what happens. I'm going to press the number 1 for a vertex. And I'm just going to grab it and move it over here. And then I'm going to tab out of it. Now we're starting to get some bad shading. Okay. What's going on is my edge flow is now off. It's no longer uniform. Can everybody see that? Okay, so I'm going to hit undo again. And we're back to where we were. All right. I'm going to hit tab to get out of there. I'm going to right click in object mode on my cylinder and choose shade. No, I'm not just yet. Not just yet. I'm going to move this over here. Go move it over to the side 1 sec. So G, X, slide it over here. Shift A. I'm going to add a cube. G, X, slide it over to the side, then zoom out a little bit. So I've got a cube and a cylinder sitting next to each other, best friends forever. I'm going to click on my cube in object mode, right click and choose shade smooth up at the top. All right. Then I'm going to click on my cylinder, right click and choose shade smooth. And I'm starting to get some bad shading. I'm going to click on my cube. This green triangle down here, this is your mesh details and vertice information. So I'm going to click on that green triangle. I'm going to go to normals. I'm going to click auto smooth. And now my shading is perfect again. Do you see what the difference between bad shading and clean shading is? Okay. What shade smooth is doing, I'm going to go to edit mode. And I'm going to zoom in. It's saying this multi-edged shape, it's trying to go and meet up this circle with this round line. And so it's making a whole bunch of mini angles between the two of them that are causing ugly shading. Okay. It's not clean. Which brings me to one of the most important parts of the lecture. I'm going to hit tab to go out of there. I'm going to select my cube, hit tab, number 3 for my face select, and select the top face. This cube has 4 edged faces. The 4 edges make a face. That's a quad. Okay. 4 edges. Got it? If I had a triangle, that would be a tri. Tri has 3 edges. Quads have 4. Everyone got that? I'm going to hit tab to get out of edit mode, click on my cylinder, hit tab, number 3 to select the top. That face on top of the cylinder probably has like 32 edges. Anything with more than 4 edges is called an N-gon. N-G-O-N. N-gon. N-gons can lead to shading issues. Okay. Clean topology, usually want to try and get by with quads, 4 edges, or tris, 3 edges. Once you go beyond 4, the computer has trouble tracking things out. Like you'll notice these sides that are clean, they're 4 edges. Okay. And they're all the same in size. So uniform edges gives you clean topology. Everyone good with that? We got two options. I'm going to show you the first one. I'm going to take this top face, the number 3, to select it in edit mode. I'm going to hit I to inset it. And the second I did that, my shading got better. I'm going to hit I to inset it again. We're getting a little bit better. I to inset it again. And this time, let me try. Right click. Will give it to me yet? Nope. Let's try. On a PC, it's function 3. So let's see what happens if I hit the F3. Oh, nope. Don't want to go doing that on a Mac. All right. Sometimes a grid fill is useful because you're filling in the n-gon with grids like quads. So let's see, it's not quite here on the Mac. I'll look for where it is on a Mac, but our shading's starting to get better. All right. That was the first thing to help. Tab into edit mode, or I could always just go down to my normals and click on auto smooth right here. And that really helped my geometry exponentially. Bless you. So adding in some insets here for those n-gons helped reduce the long faces and gave it better shading. X to delete both of these. So you saw how cylinders can lead to shading issues because those big n-gons on the edges. All right. That's the first step. Everyone good? E to extrude, I to inset. I'm going to show you the next big useful tool. I'm going to hit my tilde to get back to my pie menu, and I'm going to want to be in, let's do front view. Why not? I'm going to hit Shift A, cube. All right. And I'm just going to freely rotate around to take a look at it. We talked about how these 3 buttons right here help you navigate the 3D viewport if you don't have a 3-button mouse. This one down here, this one's going to take you between perspective mode and orthographic mode. We're in perspective mode. It's like a those 2 perspective drawings, how there's like, there's perspection in it. If I click on here, it's occupying the same amount of space without the 3D distortion. That's what orthographic mode is. So you can click here to get in and out of it. Everyone see how it changes? Orthographic mode is useful when you're laying out complex scenes and things have to line up properly and you don't want the perspective distortion. Just helps you be more precise. All right. Okay. Everyone ready to be amazed? So E to extrude, I to edit. Number 1 to get a vertice, 2 to edge select, 3 to select a face. Everyone got that? G, grab to move, R to rotate, S to scale. You could always hit X, Y, or Z plus a number to change by an axis and an amount. Now watch this. I'm going to hit 2 to edge select in edit mode. I'm going to choose this top edge right there. Everyone got it? This is the most important part of tonight's lecture. On a PC, it's Control B. On a Mac, I'm going to try Command B. Yep, Command B. Bevel. So when I click away and I drag, this is making a 45-degree cut. Now, just click and drag. Don't click again. This 45-degree cut is called a chamfer. Okay. Everything in Blender's a bevel, but this is just called a chamfer. If you're watching modeling tutorials and the person's an engineer or an architect, they'll use the term chamfer. That's just a 45-degree cut. Everyone got that? So the default bevel is a chamfer. It's a 45-degree cut, and everyone can see that. When you click and drag, it's making the bevel chamfer longer. All right. Now watch this. So I'm going to say about this big, and I'm going to left click to accept it. So now with my number 2 key for edge select, I'm going to choose the bottom edge right there at the bottom. Okay, just the edge. Everyone ready for this next step? I'm going to hit Command B to bevel. That's also Control B on a PC. I'm going to start to drag, but check this out. I'm going to set the size I want, and then I'm going to scroll up or down with my mouse wheel, and that's going to add what's called segments. The more segments you put in, the more smooth that curve becomes. You can quickly add rounded edges to things that way. Now, everything in the world has a minor bevel to it. There's no pure, perfect 90-degree corners to anything. All right. Even the most slight bevel is needed for just about anything. So this is a chamfer, a 45-degree cut. This is, the bevel with segments added to it. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edge select here, Command B, drag a little bit. I'm going to decrease my segment count and click there. So you can have, a chamfer into a segmented bevel into an even larger bevel. Okay. When you add bevels this way, it's harder to get back to the original geometry. So, be careful with it. All right. You can just select an edge, Command B, drag, and, mouse wheel to add or subtract however many segments you want. And you could also adjust the distance. Bevels are needed. They help smooth things out and they catch the light better in your scene. So it's win-win. I'm going to tab back into object mode, delete that. And last thing I'm going to show you on this little mini intro, I'm going to do Shift A and I'm going to add a cylinder. Now, we know the cylinder is going to have some issues with shading because of the n-gons, okay? So I'm going to start off by tabbing into edit mode. I'm going to hit 3 for face select, grab the top, and then I'm going to mouse around. I'm going to hit Shift. So I've got the top and the bottom face together. I held down Shift to get both faces. Was everyone able to do that? All right, I'm going to hit I. I'm going to inset it a little bit. I'm going to hit I again and inset it some more. Okay. And I'm going to tab out. I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to choose this middle face. I'm going to hit E to extrude and grab it up. If I hold down the Shift key, it's going to move slower. Okay. So I'm going to undo that. Let me hit undo one more time. So holding down Shift will slow down your rotating, your scaling, and your grabs. Got that? So it gives you a little bit more precision. All right, so I'm in object mode. I'm going to right click, shade smooth, click on my green data right here. Go to normals, click on auto smooth, and we've got clean geometry. Okay. Here's where things get goofy. I want to scale this up a bit. Let's see. I'm going to SZ, scale on the Z. Then I'm going to do RY90, hit enter. Okay. All right. I'm happy with this. Okay. So just a reminder, I'm done those transforms. So I'm going to Command A, apply all transforms. So if I hit my N key, everything's zeroed out again. We're all good. I'm going to hit tab into edit mode. Now we're talking about edge flow. Okay. All these edges are good. They're the same distance, but I've got these long faces. It's like a horse. Why the long face? Right. So you want your geometry to be even when possible when you're doing your topology. The topology is just how the faces come together to make your object. Okay. So here's a new thing that we're going to do. I'm going to hit A to select all in my edit mode. And let's see, the shortcut on a Mac is Command R. So Command R is called a loop cut. Okay. Now, if I mouse wheel at this point, I get more loop cuts. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm creating shorter faces for better topology and better shading. Everyone got that? So I clicked Control R to make my loop cut, and then I mouse wheeled to make these extra cuts. And I'm going to hit the left key to accept it. Once I do that, I can slide it up or down to position it, or I could just right click to accept it where it was in that space. Everybody see that? So I've got extra geometry. Now, right here, I'm going to Control R and see now I've got a circle going the other direction, which is what I want. So I'm going to mouse wheel a couple times, then left click. I can slide up or down to accept it, or just right click to have it right where it was centered. So I've got lots of faces there, but not here. So I'm going to click here again. I should have done it to both. Mouse wheel, about there, left click, oops, right click to accept where it was. And we've got all this extra geometry. Okay. The reason I did that is I'm showing you those long faces are going to cause issues down the road. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show you tonight, we installed the add-on Bool Tool, Booltool. Bool is short for Boolean, all right, or Boolean. It's I got dinner on the mind. It's Boolean. It's not Bouillon. I'm just hungry. Okay, so I'm going to tab back into object mode. Here's what we're going to do. You ready? We are going to hit Shift D. That's going to create a duplicate. Then we're going to press Z. And it's going to go straight up. So we've got two of them. Can everybody see that? All right. Now, I need to rotate this. I think it's going to be Y. So I'm going to hit RY90. Nope, that's not what I wanted. So I'm going to right click to say nope, right click undoes because I didn't accept it. So let's try X, RX90. Nope, I'm going to hit undo. So that just leaves Z, RZ90. That's what I want. They're perpendicular to each other. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do GZ to the top one and collide it a bit with the bottom one. Okay. To about there. I'll do GZ a little bit more. Move it down to about there. Okay. Does everyone have them intersecting? Wait, what'd you say about my mom? No. Oh, and you just do it by eyeball. Now, here's the important thing. Mine is not going all the way through. Can you see that? It's going a good ways, but not all the way through. A Boolean is one object cutting into another like the Pathfinder in Illustrator, okay? But three-dimensionally. Here's how it works. The shape that we'll be cutting, select first. I want my top shape to cut into the bottom, okay? Everyone got that? The shape you're cutting into, you select second. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select my second shape. Okay. So it's what's cutting first. Then you shift click on what you're cutting into. Everyone got that? Now let's see. The shortcut on a Mac is, no, let's try. Okay. Control Shift B. And that's the same thing on a PC. Control Shift B. What we're going to choose is brush Boolean difference. Okay. And I'm going to click once on that. I'm leaving it up. It was Control Shift B, brush Boolean difference. And I've got that shape cutting into the other one. Okay. This blue wrench over here, these are your modifiers. So everyone click on the blue wrench and you see you can have more than one modifier on a shape. All right. Now, what I want to show you is, so I've got my original cylinder, and this is the one cutting into it, okay? I'm going to do this. GX, and look, I can move it around, okay? I'm going to right click to undo. Everyone make sure you can have your cutting shape positioned however you want. I'm going to hit tab to see edit mode, and you'll notice this looks different from the other one, okay? We've not created new geometry yet because this is a non-destructive workflow. It made a modifier saying, hey, think about it. You know, do you want this here? Do you need to remove it? Okay. When you're working with modifiers and you got to do big changes, I always do a save as. So like what I do here is I go file, save, and I'll just call this lesson 01A. Hit save. Okay. So now I'm like, oh, I want to change that modifier and get rid of it and apply it. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do file save as. So I would say like 01 underscore 2 and hit save as. This way I can always go back to the other one. So whenever you're making big changes, do a save as before you make those big changes, okay? You want to work non-destructively. So to apply a modifier, there's this little drop down next to it. I'm going to hit that modifier arrow and choose apply. Now watch what's going to happen. So now if I hit tab, now I've got that geometry. See it in my edge flow? Okay. Everyone got that? Tab to get in and out of it. So now we created new geometry by applying that bool. All right. So let's test something out. I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to hit the number 2 on my keyboard, and I'm going to hold down Option or the Alt key on a PC, and I'm going to try and get this edge right along here. And it's not letting me. Yeah, that's not working there. So yeah, because of all the different things. That's an edge flow issue. So if I wanted to select this whole thing, I'd have to click around and do that to get those things. So I'm going to just make a cube. And let's see. Tab into edit mode. I'll extrude out this face. I'll extrude it out again. Oh, here's a neat little thing. So if I hit S, I can scale it out or inward. So if I wanted to like make a roof of a house, I just extruded and scaled it into itself like that. Got it? So you scale out or inwards. I'm going to extrude this out. I'm going to hit S and make it get bigger. Oops. Let's try that again. E, extrude it out. S, scale it up so it gets larger. I'm going to hold down Shift so it doesn't get too large. Like that. Okay. Everyone good? I'm going to number 2, edge select. I'm going to add. No, I'm going to do a loop cut. So I'm going to Control R. Add. Let's see. Nope. Control R. Use my mouse wheel. Add several loop cuts. Right click to select. Yeah, this will really be what I want to show. All right. Got my 2 for edge select. And I'm going to choose this edge right here. Let's see if I can get an edge flow around it. Yep. Okay. I was able to edge flow that. I'm going to hit Command B and bevel and watch what's happening. My geometry is getting distorted once I go too far. Okay. You really have to watch it when you're beveling something and your edges, because if you go beyond that, you'll create what's called artifacts. Artifacts are when vertices overlap each other in 3D space. And it's very bad news and will make your rendering look like garbage. Okay. So we'll talk more about artifacts and cleaning up your edges later, probably Thursday night. So if I wanted to make a window here, I could hit tab in edit mode, 3 to select the face. Let's try a loop cut, Control R. Let's see right there. So yeah, I want a perpendicular one. And then I'll click once. Nope. Wait a second. I'll undo that. So Control R. Let's first get that loop. Come on. There we go. Now I'll mouse wheel. There we go. I got a couple of them. Ooh, no, that's a bit much. Let's do about there. I'll right click there. Cool. Now if I Control R, yeah, we'll get something a little more manageable here. So now I could 3, select a face, hold down Shift, select this face. Let's make them tall windows. Why not? And I can E, extrude inwards, or I inset like that to get my window frame, then E, extrude them inwards. And there's my windows. Ta-da. Any questions on extrude, inset, chamfer, bevel, loop cut? Any of those questions? All right. Cool. So next class, we'll get a little deeper into it. And, hit A to select all this, delete it, X. And I'll show you modeling with cylinders. And we'll make a chess piece. All right, spectacular. Now it's time for lab.